All right. Hello, whoever watches this, whether it's just me or anyone who stumbles across it. This is going to be my first episode of Cataloging the Climb. Basically, to give a rundown, I will be playing games of League of Legends, hopefully 3 games a day, 6 days a week. That is the parameters I've set for myself. And I will be giving a rundown of how my week went with the help of my handy dandy little catalog right here. So for this week, I ended Emerald 1 LP, and let's get into the match history. So this week begins on the 27th. The 21st, I took a break until the 27th. So coming back to it, I lost this game. This was game one. And the way I'm going to be cataloging this is with learnings, and this will go by game basis. You can see game one, and then also things that I hated, which will also go by game basis. And in this video log, catalog, or whichever you want to call it, I will be breaking down what I learned in each game and then what I hated in each game. And then I'll be asking basically myself, why did I hate these things and why did what I learn affect my game? So, game one here, I played Azir. I went 4-5-1, got 221 CS, and we lost this game. For things I learned, I said, game one, look at the team comp as a whole before you start building your items. And then in parentheses, I said, Static Shiv Sivir ruined the crown I built this game, which, as you can see, their Sivir had a Static Shiv. I built a crown. Whenever we team fought, it would instantly break, basically nullifying it, which I bought it to survive Kha'Zix and their Sylas, which makes sense. Uh, so long as I can look at this team comp and then go, well, my team doesn't have a lot of peel. I need something to protect myself against the Kha'Zix and the Sylas. Then I'd know, all right, they have a Sivir. Sivir built Static Shiv, and her E bounces even if she didn't. Crown probably isn't going to be the best thing to protect me here. I'm probably going to want to go Leandri's and then Zanya's with lethal tempo instead of Conqueror. All right, so on to things I hated. I said I was forced to build defensive items this game. And I was. I was forced to build a crown, which didn't work, and then I was forced to build a Zanya's. I think the important thing to ask here is why did I hate this? Why did this make me feel bad? And I think it comes down to the fact that it puts me, even if I'm ahead, in sort of a backseat position. I can't play the way I want to. I have to play sort of reactively with this team comp they have rather than proactively. And I think that's what it boiled down to is why I hated this experience so much. All right, on to game two. Game two, victory. I won as Vladimir. And for game two, my learnings, I said, don't be afraid to play my League of Legends. Coach C painting analogy. I received coaching from Coach Curtis on YouTube, and Coach Curtis often says, I'm going to mess this up, but I'm paraphrasing. So something along the lines of, imagine your champion is a canvas and you are the painter. The way you play your champion is the painting you're going to make, and there will be nothing like it. Nobody will make the same painting. Nobody will play your character the way you do. I learned that this game because I played really aggressive. I really just went in, and it just clicked with me. I love to play aggressive. Even though Vladimir, his MO is more of a scaling build, I just went in, I played aggressive, and I played well. And that's what allowed me to go 6-0-5, and I pretty much dominated my lane opponent. I was able to exert pressure over their jungler, and I had a great game. For things I said I hated in this game, game two, the Jinx started sealing my CS, and on the surface that seems pretty, reasonable. Oh, Jinx started stealing my CS from me, but why did this trigger me so much? And I think the reason why this got me so angry was I was doing really well. I didn't die. I was ahead of her for a long period in this game, even though she gets ahead of me later in the game, and that's when she starts stealing my CS. And I think it bugged me because I couldn't accept that maybe she was more impactful than me. And if I can't accept that sometimes I'm not the carry, we'll see later in the week, uh, it will not go well. Sometimes I just have to acknowledge that there are other people on my team that have an impactful role, and maybe she needs that CS more than me. And yeah, that's learning for this game. So let's go on to game three. Game three, another Vladimir game. After that last game, I was really feeling it. So I run the same setup. And for my learnings for game three, I go just the compounding of game two's lesson. And as you can see, the result paid off once again. I'm 7-2-8. I played really aggressively, even though it was into an Annie who you usually don't want to play like super aggressively into as Vladimir, since she can chunk you really hard. She's got a shield. She can play pretty defensively, and it still worked out great for me. And that's just because I was playing my League of Legends, playing the way I want to play, and it really worked out. As for things I said in game three that bugged me, my Varus didn't come to the Baron, so I tried to zone off the enemy jungler and died, losing all 10 of my Magi stacks. And I think it's understandable that that would make me upset. You know, losing 10 Magi stacks I built up over the course of the game. But I think the reason why this bugged me so much was I thought the correct play would just be melt the Baron and then reset. So my team's on Baron, and I go, well, if we don't have our ADC here, who's not helping us, the enemy jungler has a chance to stop us. So I compensate for that by going and trying to fight the enemy jungler, which end up losing me my stacks. I just need to be willing to fight it out, I guess. If the Zac jumps into the pit, I have to place faith in my Jarvan here and say, all right, Jarvan's doing well. He's ahead. He will smite this Baron. And even if he doesn't, well, then we'll have to commit to a fight. And it is what it is, rather than making a pretty much int play to kill myself and lose all my stacks. So that was the end of day one. Moving on to day two. So we start off with this Azir game. It was a defeat. And I think defeats have a lot more to learn from. And to show that, I say pay attention to who leashes the enemy jungle. If nobody leashes, be very wary. I died to this Poppy jungle level 2 and to a repeat gank level 3 after not TPing and after running back because I didn't have TP. I was in the Silas, who you can really bully as Azir. And if I would have just paid attention to the jungle and tracked better, I wouldn't have died. And I'm 100% positive that I was going to say maybe I'm pretty certain, but 100% positive that those two deaths catapulted the Silas so far ahead and solo lost us this game. And it's something super avoidable that I could have fixed. And that ties into what I hated for game one, and that's I died to a level 2 gank to Poppy and a level 3 repeat gank. And why does this get me so upset? And I think the reason why this one gets me so upset is because I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. I could have done it, but I didn't. I wasn't placing enough emphasis on jungle tracking, and it got me killed, and it lost me this game. And that's why it really upset me. I think going forward, I have to just place emphasis on this. It's about intensity, and if I don't put emphasis on tracking the jungle, on doing these small little things I know I should be doing, then I will end up losing winnable games just like this. Going on to day two, game two. This one is an Azir game. We end up winning. And for the learning for this game, I said, this is don't be afraid to give up priority to shut down the enemy later's snowball potential. As you can see, I'm into an Echo, and although it looks like he's got a much better score than me, in reality, all of these kills were on the back end of the game. In lane, he didn't get a single kill on me. And although my score looks abysmal compared to his, he could have been so much further ahead if I would have played aggressively into him and lost. So my learnings were just, it's fine, play back. You need to allow your team to carry you sometimes. You are not the main character of this anime. You need to be able to stand back and go, I will let my teammates do what they need to do to get us this win. And we can see the Aphelios and the Evelyn did really well, and they did. So, for the things I hated, my Evelyn jungle ruined freeze and made me back on a slow push into the Echo. And that was really upsetting for me because I had set up a perfect freeze. She thought I needed help. She didn't count the wave, or maybe she just didn't understand. Maybe she's not well enough versed in freezing and what isn't. And she tried to help me push. Uh, and that really tilted me in the moment because it was a hard fought freeze to push him out of lane and set up. So it really upset me. And why did this upset me? That's always the key thing, is why. I think this goes back to earlier when I'm just not comfortable enough to allow my team to carry me. Even in this game where I finally did go, all right, hands off, I'm not going to be the carry of this game. I need to just play safe. It's still an uncomfortable feeling for me, and I'm still just not willing to go, whatever happens, happens. This game isn't in my hands. And with that, let's move on to game 3. This one was a Vladimir game, and once again, you can see I go my aggressive little runes here. And for the learnings, I say stay optimistic and look for your enemy's mistakes when you are behind, because they will make them. And this all came out because in lane against Irelia, I knew that there was going to be a lot of fighting early, so I went this aggressive build, and I killed her level 1 solo, got first blood. She ran on back, was level 2 to my level 3. I misplayed, failed it, should have been able to kill her, lost a giant wave, lost all my priority, and fell really far behind. But over the course of the lane, she made committal errors. She dove me, I think, twice and failed both times and ended up dying because of that. And then with my Dark Seal, I was able to come back into the game and end up being stronger than her in the late game. And I was really tilted while it was happening. So that's why I say stay optimistic here, because I need to understand I'm not even in Diamond yet. They will make mistakes. I will make mistakes. It's all about keeping my head on straight and looking out for them. Game 3, the things I hated. I said my support came mid while I was level 5, and the enemy got level 6 because of it, because of the XP sharing. A little tilting, but in the grand scheme of things, not that big. I don't even think a death resulted from it. And I think, once again, this ties back to me just going, I need to carry. I need everything to go perfectly. My teammates aren't playing perfectly, and that upsets me. And that just, I need to let loose on that. I need to loosen my grip on League of Legends, because if I don't, every little mistake might just end up tilting me. So that's the end of the 28th. I then took a break on the 29th because it was Wednesday and I didn't feel like playing high intensity League of Legends. So I came back on the 30th and I played an Azir game. And for this day 3, for my learning, I said, if the enemy jungler is really weak at ganking, I can devote more attention to the lane. And we can see here, they had a Karthus. So Karthus isn't super strong for ganking in the early game. And usually that's when my champions are the weakest, is in the early game. So I really should focus more on my laner and trying to play around that if I notice they have one of these champions. For things I hated, I said I lost all agency because I took a fight in lane and lost. And this one's pretty self-explanatory. I basically made a mistake that I knew I shouldn't have. I fought her early. I believe we were both level 7, and I only had a lost chapter. She had an Hextech alternator, and she bursted me, and I lost. Which then, for the rest of the lane, I lost all agency because she just snowballed on me. And this made me upset because I know that I shouldn't be doing these things. Logically, I can think, well, I'm an Azir, I have Lost Chapter, I don't want to take an all in fight against a Diana who has Ignite when I have TP. But I did it anyways. Next up, a Vladimir game. For game 2, my learnings were even if my land opponent roams, so long as I don't then feed after that advantage and keep farming, I will still be strong. This game, their Annie had a phenomenal roam. She, at level 7, roamed down bot lane, and although I pinged it, she stayed off the map in the Fog of War for such a long time that I think everyone assumed that she had backed. And in reality, she went for a full turret dive and killed both of the laners in the bot lane. Luckily, I just kept farming. I shoved in waves while she was gone. I kept farming, and although I was behind her, I later in this game come back to be an even more menacing threat because I didn't feed after that. I didn't tilt. I didn't die when I shouldn't have, like in the last game. I just kept to my game plan. I got my key item spikes, and I was able to win this game. For things I hated, the Annie made a very good play and dove the bot lane at level 6, so it was level 6. And why did I hate this? Well, I hated it because I pinged it, they didn't listen, it still worked, and worst of all, it was a phenomenal play. Like, credit where credit's due. This was a fantastic play by the Annie, and it made me upset because I don't think that if I tried it, it would work for me. So I think this is a little grass is greener, like comparing myself to someone else's problem, which is probably not the best thing to be going forward with. So I've got to just look at myself and go, you wouldn't be able to do that. But if you wanted to, you should practice for it. And I should always, always give credit where credit is due. Because if you notice a good play, to call it as it is, it's a good play. Next game, another Vladimir game. For this one, my learnings were helping your enemy jungle steal camps when you are ahead can be devastating for the enemy team. And what happened in this game was I think it was at level 4 or 5 before ultimates, we win a skirmish in the river on the bot side, end up killing the Syndra, uh, end up chunking the Nautilus so he has to back, and end up killing the Viego. And then right after that, I shoved my wave under turret. It's dying under turret. Me and the Nocturne run into the enemy Viego's topside and start stealing his camps. I'm zoning off the Viego, and Nocturne is taking all the camps. The thing I hated for this game, the enemy Viego started inting, and then when I zoned him off, while our Noct was counter jungling. And it might be pretty weird to go, well, why are you angry about this? Leading into this game, I was Emerald 1. I had just gotten into Emerald 1. I demote later in the week, but I had gotten into Emerald 1. And the enemy team had a Diamond top laner, unranked jungler, Emerald mid laner, Diamond bot lane. And I really, really wanted to see how I would perform in this game. And although I did perform well, I didn't get to see how I would perform in the mid game. I didn't get to see how I'd perform in the team fighting. He just ran it down me, and you can see he ends 0-8-3, and it really, really tilted me because I wanted to see like how I would do in a supposedly challenging scenario. Going on to the 1st of December. So, a Vlad game up first. And my learnings were if the wave is rebounding and the laner is an aggro champion, back off or they will run you down the lane. And although I played pretty well, Both of these deaths were avoidable. And what ended up happening was I shoved a wave under the turret, and the Echo saw me all the way there. I idled for just a little bit, maybe looking for a trade or something. Hadn't backed yet. And Echo just jumped on me. And with the combination of his high damage, his flash, his E, which he was able to use twice since we were all the way down the lane, he just managed to kill me basically immediately. And there wasn't really anything I could do. Uh, I just gave him the perfect scenario on a silver platter. So, something just to look out for myself later. Things I hated from this game: my ADC wasn't listening to pings and kept getting one shot. And as we can see, although she didn't have a super large amount of deaths, she died during pivotal moments like Dragon and Baron. And every time that would happen, somebody or myself pinged her off beforehand, and she would still go into these scenarios and die. And it was causing us to have a really hard time in the team fights. And this one, once again, just ties back to I have a problem looking at my teammates misplaying and going, well, they made a misplay. It is what it is. I get upset when my teammates aren't playing perfectly, and I just need to fix that because I don't play perfectly. This game, I gave away 2 free kills. It is what it is. I just have to be able to go, it is what it is. Keep on in it. Keep gaming. So, next up, a Zir game. This one, for my learnings, even if fight looks favorable, don't be afraid to disengage when the tables start to turn. In this game, I was up against Akshan, who he kept perma pushing me, basically immediately under turret. The second the wave would come, he would throw his boomerang through it, one shot the wave, and then usually he would press E and jump on top of me. Eventually, because I kept noticing this pattern, I just used R to shuffle him right under turret, thinking, oh, wow, fantastic, great fight for me. He took 2 turret shots. I should win this. What I failed to realize was with his ignite, his electrocute, and his passive damage, he was just able to chunk me and blow me up in a second, even though the fight looked great for me at the start. So even if something looks great, don't be afraid to disengage, because I easily could have gone, all right, little win. I blew his flash. He had to flash over my wall. I can disengage now and just shuffle away. But I didn't want to. I committed and I died for it. Things I hated: Akshan got ahead and roamed bot, and my bot lane didn't listen to pings. Once again, same old, same old. My bot laners didn't listen to me. I get upset. I'm not happy when my teammates play perfect, but look at me here. I've got 5, 6, and 3. So, how can I feel when I'm not playing perfectly? How can I look at my bot lane who's doing better than me for the vast majority of this game and go, these guys are doing poorly. I'm going to get angry about this. It's just a sense of entitlement, I suppose. Something I got to work on. And then the last game for the 1st of December, another Azir game. And oh boy, did this one not go well either. Game 3. Into highly immobile mages, bringing Ignite and playing aggressive is a viable tactic. Into this one, I was up against an AP Kog'Maw, and he could not escape me. If he did not have Flash, it was just gap closed city for Azir. If I would have had Ignite, I could have killed him. I think I counted 5 times in lane, but I brought TP because our Darius brought Ghost, and I thought later in the game we would need somebody with the TP to split push. When in reality, I could have just brought Ignite and gotten further ahead. And then things I hated. 8-bit Kog'Maw was some horse shit, is what I typed. And why did I feel this way? What made me have this sort of advanced hatred of 8-bit Kog'Maw? And I think it all ties back to he's not something I run into. The hitboxes were not something I was expecting. I think it's his E when he lays out that long track. The range on it was pretty crazy. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for how fast it hits you. The damage was a lot more than I was expecting. And yeah, uh, it's just I was not ready for the unexpected. And I suppose, based on this message here that I left for myself, I did not react well. So I just got to watch out for that and go, it is what it is. I'm just not familiar. How can I be upset that I lost into AP Kog'Maw when I've never played into it before? On to the 2nd of December, and we'll go to the first ranked game, starting it off with an Azir game. And my learnings were being patient and waiting for the perfect engage angle can make or break a game. And I decided on this one because they were winning this game early, and then at one pivotal dragon, I managed to Shurima Shuffle from behind the dragon wall into the pit after Master Yi had used his Alpha Strike and gone untargetable. The Samira had used her W, so she didn't have her mobile wind wall, and I was able to shuffle them all into their team when they had no defensives, and I had gained that opportunity by just patiently waiting. I could have jumped in right away, but I waited specifically because I knew these two champions would would basically just nullify my shuffle if I waited or if I didn't wait, and I threw it at them right away. For the things I hated, I said the enemy mid was getting much more jungle and sub pressure than me. And yeah, it was true. Their Nautilus and their Master Yi kept ganking me. I didn't get any help from the Soraka because she's a Soraka, and the Nocturne wasn't really helping me out either. And why did this make me upset? Well, I think it's once again, well, their sub's roaming. Why isn't my support roaming? You know, I feel like this is a bad play. My support's not helping me out. My support's not playing optimally. She's 4, 8, and 22. Oh man. I just really, I suppose it looks like have a problem with my teammates not playing perfectly when I'm still not playing perfectly. I've still got 2 deaths. I could work on so many more areas. On to the second game, another Azir. And for my second game learnings, I said, looking at the enemy team holistically before deciding which item slash rune setups makes a huge difference. And although we lost this game, it was a really close game. Super close. We definitely could have won it. I played really well, even though we lost this game. And it was all because I decided to go lethal tempo and build a Zanya second instead of going Nashor's Tooth. Because I knew that they would have a team that would dive me. Yone ult is dangerous for me. Viego W is dangerous for me. You can CC me. Or Viego R. RE basically kills me in a fight if she hits it because I'm going to get focused while I'm CC'd. So because I had the foresight in champ select to go, all right, this team's a problem. I'm going to need a Zanya second. Go lethal tempo because I'm not going to be able to build in an Asher's Tooth. It really helped me out. As for what I hated this game, my ADC tilted early and made my team bicker and lose focus. Like I said, this was a really close game. Our ADC just didn't have a good game. She died really early. You can see there, Kaisa popped off. And she just immediately started flaming our team. Bad jungle pressure, useless mid lane, never roams, all that jazz. And it made my teammates respond, which then caused them and me too, by just watching it, to lose focus. And I think if everybody had just muted her, if I would have muted her, maybe that little bit of extra focus could have just led us to the victory that we were so close to. All right. And then the last one for the 2nd of December, a Vladimir game. So, day 3 learnings. The importance of map pressure cannot be ignored. This was a big one this game. I lost really early this game, but luckily our Fiora was doing phenomenal. She dominated the Pantheon in the early game with the help of our Maokai and was able to split push so efficiently. And whenever I would notice it, I would make calls on the other side of the map. She frequently was smart enough to split in the bot lane for us so that we could sneak Barons. When she see drag up, she would go immediately to the top side and then split there so we could get the dragon. Because she always was so strong, she would have to pull 2 people, which would have allowed us to win this game really well. She played phenomenally. For things I hated, game 3, I lost pressure due to an invade, which allowed my Fizz to roam, and my ADC started flaming me immediately. Uh, yeah, it as I say, I lost pressure really early. Fizz got free prio, so he got to roam constantly. And even though I would ping it, and I was trying to play as well as I could, it was obviously frustrating our ADC. And even though he was doing really well, he still took the time to bless me with the old team chat flame. Even though I ended up muting him immediately after it, it still frustrated me because I was doing as best as I could. How am I to do any more? And it just frustrated me. Why that frustrated me? Definitely because I realized the situation I was in. He didn't, and I felt that it was unfair, which is really funny because if you look at the things I hate from past games, usually I'm going in this seat from the way I talk. I'm the one who has the teammates that are like this Vladimir here, the goofy name, who loses prio and makes the game harder for me. And it's I think it's just funny that I I I threw this into the things I really hated just because the shoe is on the other foot this time. Um, and I think that's really funny and kind of cool to show. So I just need to one accept that my teammates aren't as good as I hope they are, and two, teammates who expect highly of me have these games too. I just need to be willing to go, yeah, that was a bad game, and move on with it. All right. And then for the final day, starting off, we had a Vladimir game. And game one, my learnings were take Ignite into Malzahar's Lad and play aggro as you need to get ahead early. In this game, I was up against Malzahar. Malzahar counters Vladimir, but not in a like you can't play the game kind of way. It kind of just shuts off your priority. So what happens usually is in the early levels, you're pretty equal, if not Vladimir favored if you fight. But once it gets later into the game, he gets Lost Chapter and or even a Leandries, he can just permanently push without interacting with you at all. And you just have to play that game and you don't get any other way to play. Uh, so if I would have taken Ignite earlier in the game, I would have been able to get a kill on him, and then maybe I could have snowballed. But it's better than having Ghost and not being able to use it basically for the entirety of the game than just taking Ignite, getting a kill, getting an early advantage, and potentially playing differently. Or the things I hated, I had an autofill jungler, which ruined the game supposedly, and although he did pretty poorly, I don't think he single-handedly ruined the game here. I think that what probably made me so upset was I got countered, I wasn't able to take control, and my team didn't do really well for the rest, so I blamed it on this guy, this poor guy. And that's not cool to me. I need to realize that not every game can go perfectly. I didn't have a great game. My team didn't have a great game. I can't lay the blame on them when I'm not doing perfectly either. That's all it comes down to. Game number two, got an Azir game. And for my learnings, I said, just leave your jungler to die if he wants to take a river while your laner is stronger than you. Play for myself. I am the only constant in my games. Basically, what happened really, really early in this game, I think like level 4, me, my laner, our jungler, and the enemy jungler ran into the river, even though I knew it was a horrible idea. I knew we wouldn't win because I'm not stronger than Yone. My jungler wasn't healthy. We take the fight. Eventually, the top side comes down to, and we lost atrociously. Viego was the only person who got out. Me and the top laner died, and it ruined my top laner and Mai's game. The Yone hard carried this game because he got so far ahead. He got all the kills, and he was able to utterly annihilate me for the rest of the game. And I just need to go, well, if my jungler is making a play that doesn't align with my champion's game plan, I just have to cut that loss. I need to play well. Back earlier in the week, I said, even if my laner gets ahead, so long as I stay consistent and I farm, I will be strong. And I didn't follow that tenet in this game, and that led me to have this game. For the things I hated, game two, I said I compensated for my jungler and lost the game for it. And yeah, like I just explained, compensated really hard, knew I shouldn't have, did it anyways, lost the game. Closed the book. That's it. Just remember it for next time. And then the last game. Last game for the week. The only learnings I had was take souls. And even though I had a Majias Soul Stealer, that's not what I meant. Basically, I queued up immediately after this game. It was so soul crushing. I hated it. I was considering not even playing a third game in the block. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to play what I want to play. I don't care who the enemy laner is. I'm going to pick Vladimir. I'm going to go my aggressive runes. I'm going to bring Ignite. And I'm going to play my League of Legends. And I'm going to take souls. And that's what I did this game. I played really well. Even though I didn't end the game with a full stacked Medjais, I was 6, 3, and 11. I had a great time doing it, and it was perfect. For the things I hated, I said nothing. I was at peace. And I really felt it. I got ganked a bunch. I got really far ahead in the early game. We got a great level 1 fight where I started Dark Seal and I had 5 stacks right out the gate. So the enemy Zac kept ganking me. Same with their support. And I just couldn't care less. After the travesty that was last game, I was so out of it. I didn't care about the win. I didn't care about the loss. I was just having fun in the moment, and nothing could stop it. Even if I would have went 3, 11, and 6 here, right? I still would have had a great time because I was playing my League of Legends. So that's it for my first week of cataloging the climb. Hopefully I'll keep this going. I'll keep this strong, and I can hopefully keep you guys with me and show myself this. We can see how far I've come from Emerald 1 LP. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.